Hey, welcome to All Stars, everybody. It's back, baby. We're talking about, oh man, so much to talk about. And so much I can't talk about, which I'm very
Oh,
excited
that's
about.
true. Yeah, oh, it's just funny. I didn't realize how long it's been the last time we actually did one of these was when we did the live one before Thanksgiving. That feels like a lifetime ago.
It really does. And every once in a while, like I'll see, because it's still rolling. People are still finding it. They're still like, oh my God, this is amazing. And, asking for more. And I'm like, well, that took a bit to doing. So we'll get down to that another time. I
That one
remember
was
we did that, and it was like a couple hours. We had all these like surprises, and then I was like, that was a lot of fun. We talked off mic, and I was like, that was a lot of fun. We should do that again. That was like a text, and you went, you want to do that again? Like
yeah.
right now? Like, come
Yeah,
on,
we
man,
could
give
do
me
that
a.
again. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because you were like, oh, let's do it here, and I'm like, dude,
There's
we're
no
gonna be
effing
lucky if we get
way.
like one of these in, or we just record us talking for
Exactly.
an hour and a half. Well, because the holidays were great, except for I got sick through most of it.
Yeah,
Like I told you before.
they're great. You must have had like 2 good days during the entire span of
Yeah,
the holidays.
yeah. I mean, most of December I was okay, and then the moment it was disappointing because my kids had like an assembly that on the Friday before, so I basically was like, I'm just taking the day off. I'll just stop working on Thursday. I get everything I need to get done on Thursday, and then Friday a little bit after that, it'll just be like the little stuff, like things, notes, anything that has to get done. It's little stuff. And then I came home and my son was sick and I was like, oh, I'm also sick, I can tell. And that just was like the beginning of everybody being some variation of sick in my house over base winter break.
Oh.
And then we were good by the 26th. I would say by Christmas Eve I was good. And then Christmas Day I was okay. I was just, you have family over, everybody's healthy at that point, but you're just like, oh man, it sucked. We were sick for like a weekend or whatever. And then we were good. My wife and I went to Disneyland, but then when I came back from Disneyland, I was sick again. So it ruined the end of the year and all this stuff. But I still, it's good to have a little bit of time away from work. I actually did not look at my laptop for like 2 weeks. I didn't even put that. I was just like all kinds of stuff like that. I was able to just take some time away from work and just think about things, think about life a lot. My birthday was in that mix too. So having your birthday and New Year's right next to each other, it really does like weird stuff to your brain where it really is like the end of the year,
Yeah.
moment of transition in a lot of ways.
By the way, happy birthday. I don't know
thanks.
how I didn't know when your birthday was, and I actually went back through our text. I did a quick search. I was like, birthday, and the only reference to birthdays that are in it is you wishing me a happy birthday. So it made me feel even more like a dick.
I thought you texted me. Maybe you didn't text. Maybe you texted me on Christmas Day.
I did.
Something.
I wished you a happy Christmas. But
yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. But we went to Disneyland like we always do. It was sort of a spur of the moment, not planned thing that we.
I know. Yeah, that you sent me a thing. I wish you a happy holiday, and you were like, "Yeah."
Look where I'm at, buddy.
In Disneyland.
Yeah, this is where I'm at. Boom.
Awesome.
And we had a good time. It was fun. It was a little different because it was just my wife and I, no kids, and so we were able to be like rides and food. And just be super chill, and we had a really good time. We definitely I came back, I was sick again. I got food poisoning from the plane, and so I was taken out for a couple of days, but it was good to take a break from work because as everyone always knows, I'm always working on a lot of things and then stuff that has not even been announced. You know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
like the books that I'm working on that haven't been announced yet, plus I have Superman, Iron Man, and G.I. Joe, which are my main three. We announced Legion of Superheroes at New York Comic-Con. I'm working on that. That's progressing. That's actually really, it's been really fun to work on. I can't really say too much about it because otherwise I will. It's when I get a lot of people asking me. They're just like, hey, can you talk about Legion? Can you talk about Legion? Can you talk about Legion? And I'm like, no, not yet.
Can I ask you, just to appease them, do you have a favorite Legionnaire?
Oh yeah, but I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
You'll see because it's like I think when people look at my work, you can tell the comics I like.
Yeah.
I had this conversation this week. We were talking, and somebody made this joke. I was on a Zoom, a Superman planning Zoom, and so it's like me and everybody who works on a Superman book, just like talking and comparing notes and getting into it and stuff like that. And I'm bringing this character into Superman during the Superboy Prime story arc, and I'm bringing this character in, and I knew who this character was, and of course, like Mark Waid knew who the character was, but like a lot of people in the room didn't know who the character was, and one of the editors didn't know. Actually, a few of the editors didn't know, and I was like, oh, they're a character from the 90s, and I like broke down their like the story of who designed them, who created them, their progression across, and what they were doing in 2000, what they were doing, a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I remember Paul Kaminsky, he goes, I feel like oftentimes conversations are you putting your head down and saying it's a character from the 90s.
I immediately was like, I think I know exactly who it is.
I don't think you do. It'll be a character in. It is a character that will be in. So the cover for April is out now, so people can see the cover to April.
Yep.
It will be the May cover. Well, they'll be on the May cover. If you want to guess,
I can admit, I can guess off mic. I don't mean to.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Tell me at the end. Yeah, so I don't know, but it's his character, and so then I joked. I was like, that's like every conversation. It's like I'm always like, let's talk about 90s comics. But I think you can always tell. So when somebody gets to Legion Superiors #1, they're going to be like, oh, these are the legions he liked. Like you're gonna be like,
there's the runs, because there's so many.
Like, here are the characters, here's the cast. You're gonna be like, oh, okay, I get it. I know which legion he liked. I know which characters he liked. Like you're gonna be able to see. So, but when we get there, it'll be interesting. It's gonna be a little bit of a ride to get there because like we still have some other pieces on the table to put down. You'll see. Like we have a lot of really big Superman plans, and obviously. We should talk about Iron Man, but we can talk about Prime because now it's out there. People know
it's out there. People know.
I told you a long time ago.
I loved it. I was like, that's such a great pitch, such a great idea. Once Prime shows up and he's talking to Lois, I was like, this is gonna be great. I texted you my theory, by the way.
Yeah, everybody thought I was crazy. Like
really,
right? People thought I was nuts because it was funny. Like I had this whole plan. I think like over a year ago. I was at the gym and I was on a treadmill and I was like thinking about KO and how KO was going to end and like all this different stuff. And I was like, I was just thinking about, because I plan things far out. Like I'm very much a far out planner. And so I was like, I got to do this thing. I got to do this thing. I was kind of mapping out the ideas and so we had talked about for Superman. And then I was like, oh, what if I brought Prime back? And what if I use Prime for this? I had this idea for Prime. And then I was like, oh, well, if I do that, I have to earn it, which means I have to do all these steps to get there. And so I was like, so I had this whole, I have a whiteboard in my office and it mapped out. And it was funny because when I was mapping out Superman, there was most of this year, this wall was all DCKO. It was like every step of DCK. I have a picture of it. It's like my awful handwriting, but it was like every step of KO, who was fighting who, how they were fighting, blah, blah, like everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
The Plazo Titans, Justice League, everything. We had mapped it out. And I'd be like on Zooms where I would put my camera so you could see the whiteboard. And I would literally stand in front of the whiteboard and talk to editorial and talk to like Mark and Scott and be like, here's what we're doing here. Here's how we're doing it.
You got to get that picture into the omnibus.
I had took a picture of that wall. It'd be fun to I had to like go at it and look and make sure
nothing is.
Well, there's this one. I have this picture on my phone of back in 2016. We had a summit where it was just me, Scott, James, Steve Orlando was there, and Tom King was there. I forget who else was there. There was a couple. It was a small group, and there was a bunch of editors, and like Jim and Bob were there, and we were mapping out metal and post-metal, right? But it was a lot of like, how are we getting to metal? How are we exiting metal? So this is like. I was still working on, I think I had just finished writing Justice League versus Suicide Squad. So this was a long time ago. And we're mapping everything out. And there was this moment where we had the plots of like Flash, Batman, a bunch of the books, like All-Star Batman, Detective Comics. We had all these books mapped out of what was the plan.
Yeah.
And that was the summit where Tom pitched, Bruce proposing to Selena. I had actually pitched what I ended up doing way later, which like Legion and Zoom stuff. I pitched it there, but it was going to be earlier, and we moved it, and all this different stuff. But I took a picture of that wall, and there's two things with it because it's funny. I took the picture, Tom is sitting in front of the wall, so it's just like here's this big wall with all these plans, and Tom is sitting there. What's crazy is there's like 50% of the things on that wall did not happen. But the way it's written is it looks almost like one of those like
those teaser things.
Yeah, it looks like that. So the problem is that like half of this happened, the other half didn't happen. But if somebody saw all the different like titles,
oh yeah,
they look like those teases.
Yeah,
they look like those kinds of things. So you're like, I can never post this because people are gonna be like, what were all of those?
Me included.
You know what I
I
mean?
am a sucker for that kind of thing. I would have been like, what is that? What
Oh
I'm
yeah.
always interested in the road not taken, or at the very least, like how things fit together. And it's like, "Well, you moved that? Now, and I have to imagine anything that didn't happen, it's not like those ideas just, disappear.
Oh yeah, no, there's some of those pieces. It's funny because it's like, when we were doing No Justice, we had this whole plot of Green Arrow and Amanda Waller that we were building, and then we ended up using it. But we ended up using it like, years later.
Yeah.
Like we set it up in 2018, we didn't pay it off until like 2023, I think, or 2024.
Oh my God.
Right? So it was 24, right? Yeah, it was 24 because that's what led to Absolute Power. So we were already building some of these things out, but it was like things got pushed back. Like life just happens and things push back or things
Totally.
get rearranged. But anyway, so I had this wall and I had this whole map out of what was the plan going. This was back when I was still like, okay, here's what's going into KO. And I had this whole wall, and Paul came over here and I was like, here's my idea, here's how I'm gonna do it. And he was like, I like it, but that means you have to reintroduce Prime to the audience earlier. And that's when I was like, issue 28. I was like, boom, right here, and here's how we do it. And I broke it down. So the Prime plan has been in place for a very long time. Even before we really started building out Reign of the Superboys. Like Reign of the Superboys came a little bit later. But that was, something that the Paul thought about in the group was like, actually I have this opportunity. We should take it and do this story we're doing, this really big, fun story. That's it's funny because, obviously I'm a big fan of Death of Superman. And so I go and look at Death of Superman and Reign of Superman. And I'm like, one of the things that it's interesting to look at the math of that and how it's different from what we're doing, because you definitely can read all 4 books individually. You can read Supergirl, you can read Action, you can read Unlimited, you can read what I'm doing in the Superman title. You can read them all separately, but they will tell a bigger story as you go. Like you'll be able to see it. But in theory, like one of the things I like is that at some point I will have a trade that is basically, I don't know. I think we'll be able to tell our own stories is basically what I'm trying to get to with that. You can tell your own stories and you don't have to feel beholden to everything, but it will build to something. We have all these really awesome plans that we're building to with Superman. Like, I think it's going to be another fun, year for Superman comics. Yeah. But all that being said, I mean, just focusing on Prime for a minute, I just really love writing Prime, and the fact that we get to do a very grounded kind of Prime story of him in Metropolis and just trying to prove he can be Superman in a world where everybody is like, no, you can't. No, everybody's mad a little bit too. There's a whole scene where Terrific and Lois are talking about, they're like, people hate him, right? People are not happy he's in this building. And she's like, well, he's really working to redeem himself. And he's like, yeah, that doesn't mean anything to some people here.
Yeah, some folk don't care about that.
Yeah, they're pretty pissed. They remember.
Well, and you worked in there's a great line during the Superman run where, someone's like, you've murdered people. And Prime's like, half those people, if not more of them, are all come back. Like, we've had 2 crises since then. Yeah,
he's like, so many reboots, we're fine. Like, everyone I killed is alive.
Yeah, everyone I killed is alive. So it's like I never did it in the first.
Yeah, but they remember. And that's Terrific actually. It's like everybody remembers. So you're not just gonna people are mad at you basically. And so there's some really fun stuff coming without getting into spoilers. Too spoilery about KO. And it is interesting sometimes because as I'm very much, it's funny. I'm not online. And I had a conversation with a couple of friends. I had a friend come over here recently, and they were telling me stuff about what was going on in the world of comics, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And he was like, you are really out of the loop now, really out of the loop. And I was like, yeah, by design.
Right. Yeah, good.
Yeah, I just want to make comics. But it's funny though, because I'll miss some stuff. But I do feel like, people will be like, oh, you read this comic? And I'm like, no. You read this one? No. And I read this one. I'm like, yes, I have. It's like I read that one. And it's interesting. I do feel a little disconnected at times. But anyway, so yeah, Prime's
back.
Really fun writing him. Yeah, he comes back. He's been a Superman for a bit now, and now he's going to take over the book and try to prove that he can be Superman. And it's, Dan Mora is drawing it, and it's just, dude, it's so much fun. He's really interesting to write because he's such a comic nerd, and he knows the universe so well. There's a scene where he's talking to Lois, and he's just like, he says to her, he's just kind of like, Lois, you're really great. You were really a good, basically, you're a good character. And then he's like, He goes, that's why you had a book one time that went over 100 issues, and that's a rare thing. That doesn't happen all the time. Like, you know what I mean? He's just like, and then he's like, I really hope someday you get your own series again, and like walks away.
She's like, what are you talking about?
He is, because there's a part where Terrific and Lois are talking, and he's like, you understand that he thinks they're all fictional characters, and she's like, comic book characters. Like, she corrects Terrific.
But I can imagine Terrific being like, that's a real problem. If this dude thinks that there's an editor, like,
a real problem. He's
like this guy thinks that like Will get retconned, like that's you don't want to have that guy with that much power.
Oh yeah, dude. There's a whole scene about all of that, but
yeah,
it's really fun to write, and I love writing him. And I like what I was trying to say is that like I'm usually pretty disconnected to everything, and like my assistant, Tyler will definitely like keep an eye more on things. He's a bit more plugged in general,
Yep.
But there are times where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look and see what's going on, and I'll see like the excitement about Prime, and like that's really fun because people thought I was nuts, dude. Like, I'm sitting there telling people, here's the plan. I'm bringing Prime into the book. I didn't tell everybody. Like, Scott obviously knew, editorial knew, but it wasn't like we had a summit, and I did not tell the room in the summit because I was like, I want to keep it a secret, and I also was like, Prime can be a charged character for people. So I was like, here's the plan, here's the thing. My thoughts on moving him away from the kind of angry nerd he was, that he's much more like, I was just talking about this the other day in the Superman group, where I was like, this is not a Prime who is like, things were better in the Bronze Age. Like, he's moved on from that at this point.
Yeah,
I feel like he's caught up on comics enough where he's like, things are good now.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, chill out a little bit. And so there's a little bit of that in there, but there's still this kind of like commentary, what he likes and doesn't like, and you know what I mean? So there's still a bit of that, but he's less angry about comics than he was before.
That's good. In your opinion, does Prime read indie books?
Yes, he does. I've been trying to, this is one of the biggest challenges of Prime, actually, is what comics does Prime read now?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like, he still reads DC books, but does he read everything else? And the trick with that is that in my mind, yes, like, he totally reads creator-owned comics, right? I think he reads everything. He doesn't, and we know he reads Marvel. He reads everything, but it's sort of this thing of like, well, when does the line happen?
Yeah.
Because he was in that pocket universe where he was still reading comics, but when does that line happen? So when did he stop reading? Right?
Where's his blind spot? Exactly.
Where's his blind spot? Where's his blind spots? No, there's a scene where he talks about his blind spot at one point. He literally is like, I never read those comics. He says, God. I want to read everything. Like, there is a scene that's like that, but yeah, he definitely he does. He reads creator-owned comics for sure. But the tricky thing is I can't always have him mention them.
No. Yes, you can allude to them, but and I'm sure there's probably a gray area where he could probably reference the Batman Deadpool crossover. But
yeah, I don't know. That's what gets tricky. Like, I've thought about that of like, what does he?
What's he aware of? Like, can he say like, I saw this in a comic once, and like, do the Spider-Man thwip, like.
Yeah, thankfully, I have a joke to tell you off air. I'll tell you about that. Remind me about the Spider-Man twip thing. But they, it's tricky because I can't really show a lot of stuff, right? But it's like, I definitely want him to be a regular comic book reader. Like, yes. You still want that part of the character, but then it's like, what did he stop reading? Like, when's the line?
Yeah.
Because here's the funny thing is that because he's trapped in their universe, thankfully in the DC universe, there has been established continuity that like they'd make superhero books about the current superheroes in the DCU. So that's been established. Like, there's a weird map there that I'm playing with, but like he hasn't read anything since you could argue he has not read a comic this last year, basically, right? Since he came back over. So if that's the case, he doesn't actually know a lot of what's happening in the current moment. Right? Yeah. Like, he doesn't know, but he's smart, so he figures things out. So it's like, but he also knows enough. I don't know. He's just really fun to write. He's very cocky. He's very, he's still that character. He's still dangerous and violent.
Yeah.
Like, he has that inside him, but he wants so badly to be Superman. There's a part where he's talking and he's just kind of like, being Superman's easy, right? You do the right thing every time. Done.
Which is like the approach to writing Superman, right? Because it's like he just has to do the
Yes,
right
and
thing every time, and it's an
that's what
impossible.
drives me crazy. Like I
So
hear
hard.
writers say that, I'm like, you guys are fucking lying right now.
Yeah, you have no idea.
Like, no, they do know. It's funny because writers do know, but I'm like, you guys are put on a show right now. Let's have a real conversation about how hard this character is to write. Because Superman is a challenge at times because it's a power thing too, right? Like, he has such massive powers, and even when he takes the cape off, he's still Superman. Like, he still has the powers of Superman. He's Clark at that point. I'm a big believer that Clark is the man, and then he puts on the costume.
Yeah, he has a work-life balance. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but at the end of the day, that dude can still like take a bullet as Clark. You know what I mean? Like, he can still lift a car up.
Yeah, he doesn't take it off. He doesn't take off
he could flick thing away. But I think Superman can be difficult to write at times. He's fun, and you can do different stuff with him. And because he's so powerful, it becomes not about the powers. So whenever we do stories that are about the powers, I kind of check out a little bit because I'm like, I like the powers and I don't have a problem with power scaling or anything like that. But it's like when it's only about that,
right?
When it's only about that, I'm like, no, that's nothing. That's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, he's stronger now. I'm like, he could move planets before. What's the difference?
Yeah, right. Well, and you did a book in DCKO that features Superman having power in Superman versus Captain Atom.
Oh yeah.
Where you really got to go hog wild with both those characters and pull some character. There's a character that shows up where I'm like, I knew this was coming. I knew that.
Well, what's funny is that I wonder
if
people know me really well, like you do, and they read any of KO, you can tell which scenes I wrote.
Oh, 100%.
You're like, oh, the Emperor Joker shows up. Come on.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like, who wrote that scene?
Yeah, where he's like, I know who I'm going to pick, and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, all of that was also a bit of a fake out and all that stuff, but the Emperor Joker parts and different scenes and little lines and stuff, like, because Scott and I co-write KO, and we basically take scenes and then we kind of like trade in a way,
My dude, that fake out was amazing.
It was funny because we had different ideas for it. We were trying to make it like a little ridiculous, but then I was like, Joker's not stupid.
Yeah,
like he's chaotic, but we also the challenge there is like we needed him to beat Zatanna,
right?
And it was like, how is that even possible? Like, we had a whole like, what possible thing could beat Zatanna at this level when she is cut loose? And it was like, it has to be Emperor Joker. Like, literally, somebody who could rewrite reality is the only way she's going to lose here. It had to be that level of power.
Yep.
But yeah, if you're reading KO, so like, the Captain Atom special, it was like, of course I was bringing Monarch in. Of course I'm going to have,
Superman 1 million.
DC, 1 million. Like, I was going to bring in different stuff from different places. And, same thing with Lex and the Demon. I mean, with Lex and the Demon, the moment I was like, does Lex Luthor have a soul? I was like, oh, this is a story about Underworld Unleashed, because it's never been answered. Like,
that is spectacular. That pull, I was like, oh my god, you completely.
If people know me, you're gonna be like, oh, we know where he's heading. If it's something from the '90s, I'm more than likely gonna pull from that. Like,
sure,
there is a villain in Superman coming up. He's on any of the covers. There's a villain in Superman that I don't think has actually been seen in a comic since like 2003 or something like that.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
It's a Superman villain that I don't think has been seen in easily 20 years. And I had to look it up to make sure, because I'm like, I know I haven't seen this character, but I like this design.
I think I saw him on a cover recently.
I don't think you did.
No,
because
there's a Superman villain that appears. Well. All right.
Tell me after, because I'm making notes here of things, because you got to tell me who you think this is.
Oh, I texted it to you. I texted you my theory about who appears.
Oh, the other one?
The other one.
No.
Ah, okay. I was so sure.
No. No.
All right. Good. We got we got closure for the audience, but
yeah. Okay, but I'm gonna look these up here. Okay, so I'm writing this down just so I remember afterwards. I can just spoil all these things for you.
I look forward to it.
But yeah, I love writing Prime. He's really fun.
Yeah, and but these fights were amazing. Got to work with Hayden Sherman on that.
Oh yeah,
that Demon Lex book, which I know was a struggle, because I remember you were talking about, you were like, this is gonna be a lot of fun, and then you were like, he's got a rhyme.
Rhyming, yes. So the dumb thing that I did was god, I paid it forward in a negative. Basically, I was like, I'm gonna write the script normal just to write because I also have to get it going and like, hey, need to start. But then I was like, I will do all the rhyming at the end.
Right.
Like I will go through the script and rewrite all the dialogue to rhyme later. Yeah. And that was dumb because when the art was coming in, I was looking at it and I was like, oh my god, I got to go back through this entire thing and rewrite all this dialogue so it rhymes and actually works and makes sense. And it was a pain in the butt. Like it was really difficult. But I always knew how Lex was gonna win. Like that was the real trick. Was like I knew how Lex was gonna win. Like he would steal the demon. Like that came up in a meeting, and I was like, I'm gonna have Lex steal the demon away from Jason. But
was it a Cosmic Odyssey reference with the?
I did have a Cosmic Odyssey
with the demon and the Superman logo on it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, that's from the demon with the Superman logo. That's actually from
Elseworlds.
No, that's Earth 13. On Earth 13, he is Super Demon.
Yes.
So that's what that is. And then I did do a Cosmic Odyssey reference because Darkseid and the demon were in that together, and Darkseid like burned him basically, like took advantage of him and stuff. I actually have that page. I actually own that Mike Mignola.
No shit.
Yeah. I actually have the physical like art that Mike Mignola did. It's over here. So that was in my head. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I understand this relationship. You know, the fact that I got to rhyme Cosmic Odyssey.
Yeah.
But yeah, KO's been, I mean, the fights in KO, we put a lot of thought into them, dude. Like all of them, every time. I mean, it was tough because there were times you have to like, not kill your darling, but you're like,
we don't have time, we don't have room.
We don't have time and room. I mean, honestly, that is the thing with KO that's the funniest is that like, this always happens. I had the same thing with Dark Crisis, where I was like, Dark Crisis should have been 12 issues long. I know the mistake now. We should have done 12 issues. We should have done it longer. Mm-hmm. It's already 7 issues, but I was like, oh yeah, we need more. We probably, at the minimum, 8 issues.
Yeah.
With this one, it's like DCK was only 5 issues. There's so much happening all the time. It is a dense too. Like it is a packed read. I mean, it's wild to be like, there's very little splash pages. There's very little like, it is a dense read because of the amount of information you have to put into every issue. You know, it was like, and Scott and I would have these really long conversations about it of like, how is this person going to win? How is this person going to lose?
Yeah.
You know, it was really a lot of that of like, how is this actually going to work? And, just being like, and then being like, you don't want to punk anybody else. So you're like, somebody's got to have some kind of advantage at one point. They got to try something, you know? So it was like, you know, when Guy and Hal are fighting Superman and Shazam, what's funny about that was that like with Shazam,
oh yeah,
we did it where it was a funny conversation because not everybody knew that Shazam could share his powers.
Interesting.
And I was like, this is how we're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like here's how we're gonna do this, and put it all together, and then Javi being like, because all those guys is so funny. All those dudes freaking love Dragon Ball, so that's a whole other thing with this. Like all those dudes, like Dan Mora, Javi, Jorge, who am I missing here? Like Danny Bruno, all those guys love Dragon Ball. They love it. And so there's always these where, so when you're telling them like, oh, we're doing this story where these characters getting overpowered, they're just like Dragon Ball.
Got it.
Yeah, I had a show, and also Paul Kaminsky, who's the editor of KO and Superman, he also loves Dragon Ball. So there's all these like little Dragon Ball references constantly dropped in. So we're doing these things where like characters are super powered and like, you know, they all get Super Saiyan.
Yep. Like rocks are flying with them. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. They all really love that stuff. So they're just like, they're always doubling down on that. So yeah, I don't know. DCKO has been really fun to work on. I'm glad the response has been so good because it was like, we knew we were making. We were like, there is a message here, but it is buried under pounds of candy is what Scott always says, you know.
I like it.
He's like, there is a story here, is message, but it is popcorn, it is blockbuster, it is fun, it is intended to be just fun and bonkers and have a good time. And we were talking about this. There was somebody one time we were talking about Night Fight.
Yes, gotta talk about Night Fight because it's so good. Well, you teased me. It was funny. We were teasing Night Fight in the last episode that we did, the last proper episode, and not only do people know what the surprise was now, but I have read the last issue of Night Fight already.
Oh, you read 4? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't help it. I'm on the press list, so like I was like,
oh, so you went and got it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like, the 4th issue's here. No. Like I couldn't wait, and beautiful. Like Mora is just
Emotional issue. Yeah.
but like yeah, emotional, deserved, earned, awesome stuff, and also just looks sick.
Oh, Dan Mora freaking kills it. Yeah,
Just
Dan
kills
Mora.
it. Every issue is just another banger. I hope that like it it is such a like chapter in the whole saga,
Yeah.
but it also I think could work as its own thing. Like not that it's like
That was the
people
goal.
could read it on their own. They're like, this is kind of dope.
That was the goal, was to make it so it could stand alone. I feel like I'm glad people like it, because I feel like I was the wrong choice for it. Like
Really?
and so let me tell you why. Because originally we had talked, like, Scott wanted to write it. That was a whole conversation we had. Scott couldn't. Like, I think if Scott and I could go back in time, I would probably write more KO and he would write Night Fight. Like, we would probably switch places a little bit. Like, I think if we could go back, that's something we would talk about.
Yeah.
But Scott really likes Night Fight too, and he's even said, like, oh, he's talked to me about how he's like, I wrote it in a way that he wouldn't have been able to, or, you know, that kind of stuff, or he wouldn't have thought of, you know. Because originally when we came up with the idea for that book, it was like, it's a story of Batman fighting his kids. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can do that. So, you know what I mean? I was like, he's not going to punch Damian.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not doing that in any way, shape, or form. I was like, I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with the ideas of it. And I'm like, I understand it's because this is like future time story. And I think one of the things we did really early on was there was going to be no nightmare logic. That was one of the rules. No nightmare logic. It has to feel like all these worlds are potentially real. Right. And it is a game being played, as a challenge being presented by the Heart of Apocalypse. And so I did have all these worries and conversations of like, I didn't want to be 4 issues of the same thing repeated. So I was like, okay, each world's gonna be something totally different. Like each world will have a different focal point, you know. It was funny, my first impulse was to do Tim's world is very high tech, and then somebody was like, Gabby's a detective, and I was like, oh, completely changed what I was planning. Like now it's Agatha Christie's story, and you know, to even give. It's funny. At one point, we talked about Damien's world being in black and white, like total black and white, like manga style black and white, but we decided against it because we were like, we already did the Sin City thing for Jason's world, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So we were like, oh, let's not do that. Let's not do that. And also be a lot for a whole issue. And, we talked through some stuff, but yeah, it's funny because it was like, I just recognized I didn't want to have 4 issues, just him fighting everybody for 4 issues long. I was like, I'll be repetitive. What's the story here? What's the emotion? But the emotion was this idea of him coming to this conclusion of like, he's still needed. He's still wanted. They want to see him. They're going to become these people because he's there. He shouldn't quit. You know, like, there's all this stuff about him not being too old, or Gotham, like him learning the lesson of like, you know, in the very beginning, not to spoil too much, but at the very beginning, he is very like, maybe Gotham would be better off without me.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, by the ending being like, I'm still needed, essentially, like, you know, this sort of arc for him, that was really what was the point. And so I'm like, well, I have to get there emotionally.
Yeah. You
know, and if he's seeing somebody like Jason in this, you know, learning the wrong lesson, I felt like. But that was also the thing, is I wanted to play with expectations, because everybody's like, I know the expectation is, oh, Jason's world's going to be, he's violent. And,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like Batman with guns.
Yeah. And I was like, no, let's do something different where he learned the wrong lesson. The wrong lesson is I need to be alone. Like, you know what I mean? So it was like, let's look at, his world is actually the one I think is probably the darkest of it.
Easily. Yeah, because everyone can walk back, or has someone, except for Jason. And Jason only has like the rogues who aren't dead.
If I could do an epilogue, I wish I could do one more issue that was just an epilogue of like what happened after they each encountered Bruce.
Why not? Was, like, I mean, I'm sure they'd give you the leeway. It'd be great for the hardcover.
For the trade, yeah.
One more issue. Call Dan.
Yeah, no, I'm well, that's the other thing, is Dan would have to draw it, and Dan is super busy all the time.
Right. But he seemed to love this book. Like, he was so excited to like adapt styles and change the way he drew things, and
he's bringing some of that into Superman for Superboy Prime, because obviously, you know, it's a story about a guy who loves comics. You're going to have different art styles in it, you know. So it's like there'll be a little bit of that too. But yeah, he, you know, Dan, it's funny because Dan wasn't supposed to draw it.
Really?
They contacted him and they were like, you want to do covers for this? And then he wrote back, he was like, yeah, only if I can draw it. So, you know, we were like, all right. I remember when I got that email, I had like a long sigh, because I love working with Dan on Superman, but I saw the math. Of it, you know, and I was like, I understand we can have, and Eddie Burroughs is great on Superman, so he'll do the KO issues with Eddie. Eddie's awesome.
Yep.
and then Dan will do Night Fight, and then it like in DC everyone worked together to be like, okay, how's this actually gonna work? 'Cause you're talking about different groups too,
Oh,
because
totally.
even though Night Fight is a KO event, it is still a back book. So that means it has to go through the back group.
Yes.
So it was like all these pieces, but thankfully they trusted me to kind of be like, I'm doing something different with this. Also, they're only 20 pages each. They're not even 22. So it's like it's fast.
Wow.
It's a
Yeah,
fast.
it is a breakneck speed.
Yeah.
You worked with Scott together on that Red Hood versus Joker book.
Yeah.
Which
He did a lot of heavy on that one though. He and I split duties sometimes.
Uh-huh.
And that one was one where it was a lot of conversations for both of us. And I believe he wrote like the bulk of it. I probably wrote maybe 40%. But Scott did a lot of heavy, because that was one that he really wanted to do. He personally really wanted to do, and it was like that was very much like his baby in a way. And so, because there was a long debate of like who was Joker gonna fight and stuff like that. We had to like rearrange some things. We had some different ideas. But that was one that he was like, I really want to do this. He also, because Scott loves Joker, but he really does love Jason Todd. Like, he likes him, and he wanted to do a story about him. And so he went in, and we were able to make that one work. And I did a lot of work on that one, but Scott's the one that really, he put a lot of work into that one. I mean, he really did.
But do you own the page from that homages A Death in the Family?
No. No. No, but it was funny working with Camo in that, because I had to go to Camo and be like, no, man, like this, because I had to like.
I knew that was was you.
This is exactly what it needs to be and stuff.
It needs to look like this page, but these characters.
Yeah, but these characters. Yeah, that was in the script, but I think there was a little confusion on it, so I had to like go and be like, no, like this. But
you had to do your patented. Here's what it is, and you draw your crude.
He definitely like spent like long nights working on that one. Scott did.
Yeah,
like he put a lot of work into that one.
Oh, definitely. Do you own the Death of Superman Gravestone Absolute Edition?
Dude, I don't. Thank you for reminding me about that. I actually have it saved because I want that one, but they only made like 199 of them or something. Did you know that?
Yeah, I did not know that. I do know that I'm probably never going to get one. I've seen all my peers. They're like, oh, I got mine. I'm like, oh, well, then I don't. I'm never going to get it.
Yeah, I have to figure it out. If it was one where they're like, we made 1,000, I would have just called DC and been like, hey, but I should have done that. I know that. So I didn't know that. So that would have been the move to make, like, when they announced it.
Yeah.
Because I get everything. I get almost everything. So I was like, okay, but there's a price point where they're like, we're not going to, you have to ask for certain things. You know what I mean? Like, once it gets to a certain price point, you have to ask. So I have it saved. I could probably get it. Either I could probably try to buy it. I've been thinking about it, or I'm still going to be like, hey, do you guys have just like one around the office? But even then, it's like, it's one of those ones. But I definitely want to get that, because, as you know, I really do love
it's Superman.
Man, yeah.
And it comes with all the stuff.
I know.
Not that I couldn't just crack open my copy.
I didn't know it came out. Like, that was the thing. I didn't know it came out until I saw somebody post it. Like,
Me too.
Somebody posted it, and I was like on Instagram or something, or YouTube or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, that's out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? And that's when I was like, well, I'll find it.
Right.
I'll find it. And then I was like, oh, it was like limited amount. And then when I said they made 199, I was like, dude, no.
Oh, yeah, no. And shops were like limiting one per customer. Like, it was. Yeah.
I saw that. That's fine. One per customer is fine. If you're
I agree. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I just don't know. It's one of those things where, like, if I go to the comic book store tomorrow, because I'm going to go tomorrow. If I go to the comic book store tomorrow and they have it, I'm just going to buy it.
You have to. Because otherwise, you're not going to get it.
Thank you.
Seeing it, because it was like, I think it's 150. Like, at least I saw it on Midtown Comics for 150. But
I feel like that is a steal.
It is a steal because I saw it on another shop for 400. So it's like, oh no, it's over.
Oh yeah. Hold on, let me see. I saved one on eBay.
Oh nice.
Let me see. I wouldn't normally do that, but like I try to mostly. Oh, I saw your other message. No, that character has also been around.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen him anywhere except like very recently, to the delight of two people I know who were like, what?
Yeah. No, Sal sent me another text of who he thinks these characters are that are appearing in Superman.
Yeah, this is the second conversation, not the first. Yeah, I was wrong about the first guess and the second guess. So now I'm really curious.
I'll tell you. Let me see if it's already sold, the one that I had saved on here, and then I'll see how much it's sold for. Oh, it already ended $405.
There you go. That's the number.
So that's going to be the number. Yeah.
Yep, I'm seeing it online. 425, 599, 340.
It ended yesterday morning. Yeah, I never would have got this. I mean, I could buckle down and be like, I could be like, this is mine. Fuck it. You know?
Oh yeah, no, yeah. It's not like you can't afford it. It's just like
no, but I would just not go to Disneyland for, you know. No. No, it's funny. Yeah, because we go to Disneyland, we do it up. Like we because I'm kind of becoming a crabby old man. No, I'm kind of becoming this crabby old man where I'm like, wait in line. What?
No. Yeah, I've had the experience of not having to wait in line, and it's like having first class tickets on an airplane, where it's like, oh no.
Yeah, because I always fly. That's like one of my requests for going anywhere. I'm like, I'm not going if I'm not flying first class and all that stuff. So it's like I can't
afford first class, but I do know what it's like, and I'm like, and now I just hate it.
Well, you know, when somebody goes to you and is like, you know, do you want to come to this signing, or do you want to do this or do this convention or whatever? I'm like, sure, but like every time. That is like one of my rules. But
I actually reached out to
anyway.
That's the first time I've ever done it. But there was a convention that made a suggestion, and I was like, sure, but I did my sure, but, and we'll see what.
But yeah, and you see what happens. Yeah, no, I always like that because you know, I think it's don't say there's this. I heard this one time from another comic writer, and he was like, don't say no for them. Like, just ask. Let them be the one to say no.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. Right? You gotta ask.
Yeah, let them. Yeah, just ask. I mean, I've had that conversation with other pros too, where they're nervous about asking for more money or more time, and I'm like, ask. Just ask. Let them say no. If they say no, at least you know.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
yeah. The worst is finding out they would have let you. You know.
Yeah, I know for sure. But yeah, KO's been really fun. I mean, right now things are really busy. Like DC KO's been fun, Superman's been fun, G.I. Joe's been a blast. We're just wrapping up Knock War that comes out. Oh, the Inner Dread Knock War already came out, and now we're moving on other stuff. I'm working on. It's funny. I was working on an outline that takes me through like the middle of next year. But even then, it's like we basically know what we're doing. I mean, what I mean by that is like a detailed one. We still know all of our beats out for a while, while. And it's one of those things where I'm sitting there looking at like what happens at issue 30, and I'm like I know exactly how 30 starts and how it ends, kind of thing. Like, and I know what goes on, and I know what we're doing beyond that. Like, it's been really, really fun. And now I'm working on Legion of Superheroes and some other DC projects that haven't been announced, and other DC projects haven't been announced. All this stuff that hasn't been announced, just all this stuff, and then there's Iron Man.
There's Iron Man
comes out this week.
This freaking week, man. We've been building for this for a long time. I've only known about it for a short amount of time, but I'm still I'm so thrilled for you. I got to read it. I won't spoil it in any way, but I will say great
fun,
first
right?
issue. Great first issue. And
fun.
Like it feels like a Marvel comic. Like it feels like you know, but in the best way. Like it feels
that
like
was all I was trying to do, was to be like, it's a Marvel comic.
Like it doesn't feel like you're reading Superman. It doesn't feel like you're reading, you know, Rogues or anything. Like it feels like Iron Man. It feels like you've been writing this book for 30 years. Like, you know,
because I really like Tony, and I think that's the thing. I mean, you know, when you write any comic, that's why teen books get kind of challenging at times. But when you write any comic, everything has to spin around that one person.
Yeah.
Everything about that book has to spin around that one person. And Tony being such a big personality, it's actually easier. And again, I always say Tony's easy to write, but the idea that like he's fun to write though, because he's cocky, he's a little full of himself, but he also means the best and he wants to help people.
Yeah.
But everything about that book just spreads out from him.
Right.
You know, like all of these things sort of spread out from him. And that's the thing I like about writing him the most, is just that everything kind of bleeds away from him. And then, it was just about having a fun comic. Like, to me, it was all these different things that I do think about when I write DC books. It's not just DC. Like, when I write G.I. Joe, like, a lot of my thoughts about Energon Universe and how I did Duke #1 and G.I. Joe #1 went into this, where it's like, my job today is to tell you a clear story about Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Like, that is my job today, is clarity, fun, escapism, entertainment. Like, that is what I want from this book, where it's like, it's Tony getting himself into trouble again, but you know, all these other pieces to it, and then you have armor. You know what I mean? And then and Carmen came in and made and killed it. Like, she got that energy, she knew what she was doing, and then Nolan came in with colors. Like, everybody just kind of came in with knowing what we were trying to do, and we just had, made a really fun, I think a really fun Iron Man #1 that I'm very proud of. And I'm looking at different issues and the stuff that we're doing, and I just think it's coming together really nice. Like it is very surreal to be
Yeah.
working in this universe. Like there are characters that I've never gotten to write before that I'm writing as part of this. And so it's a very different headspace. It's a very different headspace than DC and what I'm normally doing. But it's I get to my goal is to just tell the best Iron Man story I possibly can, while at the same time, I've said this before, making sure that Iron Man is not like on an island in the middle of the ocean by themselves. It's still a part of the Marvel universe. Like it still connects to issue, it still connects to things. That was the stuff that was important to me. And then just to tell a really fun Iron Man book. And so I'm glad it's coming out this week. I have no idea how it's going to go over. Like you never know with these things.
You do never know. I think it's going to be well received. I haven't heard anyone like see it on the press lists, but like I'm hopeful that like people see what I see and that they get the message, that you're putting out there, that like it's about Tony Stark and it's about just telling a simple story about this like very unsimple character. I have a question that like,
yeah, sure.
It's about Iron Man and it's about writing Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the big thing for me when it comes to Iron Man is like adding to the armor mythos, like adding to the treasure room. Do you have opinions about what would make a dope looking Iron Man suit, and did you impart them when you were working on it, or were you like, I trust you, make something cool?
I have my own. I had the armors that I loved.
Yes.
One of the things that was tough was that it was like I wanted it to look like Iron Man.
Of course.
Like I wanted it to be like that is Iron Man, no question. And it's not like it doesn't look like a what if or anything. And I think because we were kind of going back to the core a little bit. Interesting is Iron Man has never, I feel like, has not really deviated too much from the center too much, right? Like hasn't really deviated from his core character too much in the years. When you look at all the different like awesome creators have been on it, even the last few years where it's like Jerry and Cantwell and Spencer Ackerman, like all these guys did these awesome like Iron Man stories, and they never really deviated too much. And that's actually what was kind of funny about it, was looking at it and being like, we don't have to like reinvent the wheel. We just got to tell a cool Tony story. Like we're not having to fix anything. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I've come on with stuff and I'm like, I got to fix this. It's like when I was on Green Arrow, it was like, I got to bring all these characters back from the dead. It's like, I didn't have to do that here. It was much more like, okay, we're just gonna. My goal is to tell a Tony Stark story. When it comes to the armor, so I had all my favorites. I sent them all my favorites, which were some classic looks, some from the '70s, and some from there were different ones from the '90s, obviously, and then a few of the last couple of years ones. I feel like this is my favorite Iron Man. Is this one? Like, this is my favorite, which is why my Iron Man has a circle. Like it was funny, but I was like, it has to be a circle. It can't be a triangle. Like like weird. It can't be any other shape. It had to be a circle. So it was like weird things like that I was like, please do this.
Yeah.
I had like weird little ticks and stuff. And so then Carmen and I went back and forth editorial. And at one point she had like a bunch of different versions. And I was like, all of these are correct. And I literally went to Photoshop and like grabbed the parts I liked.
Yeah.
And I actually went and drew and was like, no, like this. So I was like, you have all the parts, like put them together. And so.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what's really funny is that, and this came up after New York Comic Con after we announced it. I talked to Jerry about this and a couple other writers about it. I was not aware of how much the armor. How do I put this? To me, the book is about towing, not the armor.
Yeah.
Right. That is a major piece of the book, right? Like we definitely have armor in every issue. He has fights in the armor. He does stuff with the armor. He's upgrading the armor as the story goes. That is something that you'll see as the story's going, is that he's slowly been upgrading the armor more. And he has like, there is a secret to the armor we probably won't reveal for a little bit of like what he actually can do with this armor, how it's different.
Okay.
But when it was announced we were doing it, Carmen particularly was getting a lot of design questions about the armor. And it was interesting to see sort of the response. And I was like, oh, I didn't realize how Iron Man fans, the armor stuff, because I love Iron Man, but I think of Tony a lot. And I do have my favorite armors, but that is something that is really important to them. And so it was like, I had to take a step back and be like, okay, how do we take care of that part of fandom and make sure the armor is this? So like, it isn't, like how to make it so that armor did have some different tricks to it from plate, like how to make this armor unique. Because I got one of the new Iron Man toys recently, And so it was one of those things of like, okay, we got to do upgrades to this armor until we get to the point where they make a toy of it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
We have a plan for the armor, and I have my own little particulars and stuff like that. But I had like a huge list of all the armors that I liked and the stories I liked, and I went through and grabbed all of them. And some of them are from my influences. What's funny is that sometimes the armor that, like, the Iron Man, what was interesting, I guess, to me, without going into specifics, the stories that really influenced me, those armors didn't. So it's weird to go back and look at, like, oh, I really love this Iron Man story, this particular one, but we're not going to have him wear that armor. You know what I mean? Like, or that wasn't my favorite armor. And yeah, there's some different stuff in it, but it's fun writing at Tony, and Madame Mask plays such a big role. And there's, we have this new Citizen V that's coming in, has a different identity, and that's going to be a secret. And actually, I think we just showed this week one of the covers that Carmen did a redesign of Citizen V, and they did a variant cover that Mark Bagley drew. It is the new Citizen V look with like the original classic like Thunderbolt Citizen V behind.
Oh, cool.
It's like, it looks really cool. I think we're gonna post that cover soon. I gotta talk to Tyler about posting it. But it's like, we have all these. I don't know. It's interesting with this book. I'm hoping people like it, and I hope they buy it. And that's the thing with this week, particularly, actually, depending on when this video is that, like, two things I ask everybody watching this, and I kind of said this before, but I'm gonna put it out there again. Two things to do this week: pre-order Iron Man #2. So here's the thing. If you're excited, one thing is kind of a bummer because of the holidays. This time of year, it gets tricky. Is a lot of times the FOCs get kind of switched around. So the FOC for issue 2 of Iron Man is actually before issue 1 comes out.
Wow.
So if you're watching this, try to pre-order issue 2.
Right.
Ahead of time. Like, Tyler and I are trying to get out there and tell people this, promote it, but that's something to do. The other trick is that I don't know how to put this. Basically, try to buy Iron Man on Wednesday.
Yes.
I think one of the things that's been really interesting to me about the last couple of years is the return of the power of Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Like, I've really noticed this a lot, that like the books that are successful are the books that people are showing up on Wednesday to get. Like, those are the books that are successful. Those are the books people are gravitating towards. So if you can pick up a book and you go to your comic store, pick it up on Wednesday, and don't just get Iron Man, but get your pulls, get the books that you love. Because what I've noticed is that it's weird, because I always hate how much we put on the readers. Like, I always hate that we're like, you got to pre-order, you got to do this, you got to do this.
Yeah.
You show up. It's always tough, because it's like when I go to the grocery store, I didn't pre-order milk. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and that's their argument. That's absolutely true. And it's like, it's the argument you always hear against pre-ordering is just like, well, I don't have to do that for any other thing in the world. And it's I know.
You have to do it, I think, when it's other collectible stuff. Like, that's what it is. Like, other collectible stuff. That is the case with toys, comics, even if you're still buying Blu-rays or special edition stuff. Like, you and I were just talking about that. Yeah. That Death of Superman thing. Like, I probably should have pre-ordered that. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
Yeah, if I pre-ordered it, I'd be like, yep, that's mine now. Thank you. Like, it would have been a thing.
Yeah.
But that expectation that's always going to be there. And what's funny about that, though, is like, even though there have been times I've gone to the grocery, because I get a specific kind of milk. This is all getting a little too specific here. But my wife and I get a specific kind of milk. It's called Fairlife. And we go, and there are times they're sold out of it. They're just out of it. And you're like, I guess I got to get regular milk then. But I mean, I'm sure you had moments where I also have really picky kids, like very picky eaters. Sure. So it's like, if I go to Safeway or the grocery store and they're totally out of something, I got to go to a different grocery store. This is a whole, that's the closest I can compare it to. But it's like that. Like, I'm sure you've done this before. I'm sure you've gone to a comic book store and been like, oh man, they're out of this. I got to go to the other comic book store.
Yeah, I've done that. Yes. More often than I would care to admit. But yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm saying is the power of Wednesday, I think, and Wednesday Warriors right now is really obvious. And I think it's part of the success of Absolute, Ultimate, Energon. Like, the books that are being successful right now are the books that people are excited about on Wednesday. Yes. And so I implore you to pick up Iron Man #1 on Wednesday. Like, show people you're interested, show people you're engaged with this, show people if you like it. I hope you love it. Yeah. But if you're interested, please pick up Iron Man #1 on Wednesday, because I feel like that will help us have success with this title. And it's, again, I hate putting this on the readers. I'm always like, you got to do all this extra work to get what you love. But that's sort of the world we live in now. It's like it's into the movies. It's like if a movie people want to go see it the first weekend or the second weekend, that movie is it's over for
It's
that.
over. Yeah.
You're not gonna get that sequel.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. Like comics have kind of become the trendsetter when it comes to like movies have kind of caught up with comics, where it's like, yeah, you know what, you got to show up day and date, otherwise it might not happen.
Yeah, that's true of it. Comics is always like this secret like leader of the trends. It's like movies, TV show, all this stuff. You can kind of see bits and pieces of it over here, and it's funny when they try to work it backwards, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I remember a couple of years ago, I was having this conversation with two editors, and they were like, we were talking about different stuff for comics, different ideas we had, and different ways of doing comics. And they were like, well, the thing is that the popular thing right now is I told you the story before. They were like, the popular thing right now is binging. Like that is a popular thing. And I was like, hold on. No. Because I was like, look at these three. It was these two things in particular I'll bring up. The Boys and Mandalorian were not big. They were weekly, and look how successful they were.
Yeah.
And they were hugely successful. And I was like, I actually think we're coming around to the opposite end of that. When you're talking about binging, you're talking about like people are binge watching Friends, which has been over for 20 years.
And they're like 22 minutes a pop.
Yeah. So and they're half hour long. But here's the thing is that like, I think that we're entering this era where it's almost anti-binge.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to, I mean, Scott talks about this all the time where it's like, when you go to the comic book store, every comic has to have all the pieces.
Yep.
You cannot waste anyone's time or money. Every issue needs to have stuff going on or feels it is worthy of their time. And I think you can see that a lot with comics. I mean, Scott and I talk about this all the time when it comes to the kind of books that we're helping with, like when we're consulting with DC or working on Next Level, working on KO, everything we're doing is like, you cannot waste their time. And also there's a month between all these books and people don't remember what happens. So you got to really find ways of, people are busy and they got a lot going on. So you got to really give them their money's worth every issue if you can. And that's why I think the binging thing is so funny when people compare it. I'm like, no, dude, I think we're on the opposite side of that now. I think we're on the part where it's like pretty clear that binging isn't working. I mean, that's even why you look at like Netflix probably is resistant of it, but I'm like, you guys broke Stranger Things up into 3 parts.
Yeah, you guys created the yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I wonder if internally they're realizing that doesn't necessarily work anymore. That like it's better to have, instead of being the hot thing for a weekend, you're the hot thing for 12 weeks. You know what I mean? It's like
it's always
you're
been
building
better.
it up. The water cooler. I mean, I think that's something that Sky and I talk a lot about. We call them chainsaw moments. But really those water cooler moments is like you want to have the equivalent of water cooler moments in every issue so that people have something to talk about.
Yeah.
It's funny, like when I look at some of the pitches that come through or the issue ones or whatever I'm reading for DC, like with the consulting stuff, we always end up giving the same notes. And it's stuff like that. It's like clarity. Where's the big moment? Is your ending strong? Does it feel like I have to read the next issue? Like compelled enough? Am I engaged enough? Like, all these kind of notes we keep hitting, and that's the stuff where it's like I've always been adamant about that. Where I'm like, the last page of your comic is the ad for the next issue, so you better advertise, like you better,
yeah.
And that's the thing. Actually, I want to ask you this without spoiling, without saying what it is.
Right?
Were you surprised with the ending to Iron Man #1?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, cool.
Well, and you didn't tell me anything about it, so I was like, "What? Oh no!" I was surprised. I was very surprised.
Good. Yeah, I'm curious. It's going to create some question marks for people.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah. No, I'm hyped. I was very surprised, and very antsy to see the next one. I wanted to know where it's going.
Yeah, two is really fun. I mean, 2 has one of my. There's a scene in 2 that I couldn't believe Marvel let me do. I was like, I'll send it to you actually because I have 2. So
cool.
yeah, I have. We're at a good pace on this book. So there's a part in 2 that I wrote. And I was like, somebody's going to be like, no, you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yep, the act is coming.
It's a silly thing. I feel like it is more of a joke. Like, it's more of a, like, not a joke, but it's just, it builds the world. I feel like the world's a little more grounded. It's a bit more, I think something, I don't know. It's like something I would do. I don't know. It's a me thing that I was like, I'm curious if they'll let me do this thing. And then they were like, yes, you can. There was never a question. Never a question.
They didn't have a discussion. Nobody said like, this is a funny thing that happened in this book, by the way. I wanted you to explain it. No.
Can I show you this? So should we get away with this? And then Carmen drew it. It's a 2-page spread and Carmen drew it. And I was like, somebody at some point is going to be like, you guys. And then nothing happened. They
Yeah.
were just like, oh, great, this is cool. I mean, obviously, Carmen drew the crap out of it. Like, it looks awesome. I mean, every issue with her is really great. I mean, she's just really going for it. She's having a lot of fun. And she makes Tony sexy. You know, like, I
Yes.
think that's part of it. She's making Tony and Tony's world kind of sexy, and
Oh
like,
yeah.
you know, the supporting characters, because we have we have Melinda May. I almost called her Mercy just now. We have Melinda May. We have Melinda May. We have Pepper. We're
Yep.
introducing some new characters. There's some returning characters. I'm having fun with the villains, and like, yeah, there's some fun stuff coming, and it's all building. And I don't know. I'm really happy with it. Like, I'm just hoping that people pick it up this week on Wednesday, that they like it. I hope they just see that we're just trying to make a cool Iron Man comic. Like, that's all we're trying to do with it. But yeah, I'm really excited about it.
I think you should be, man. I think you should be very proud. It's a dope book, and it's like it feels like it's been part of the world forever. So it's like there is no growing pains here. And I mean, you've worked for Marvel before. It's not like this is your first rodeo, certainly, but it
feels like it.
That's funny. Yeah.
This is a different beast than before. Like, this is a different, and I'm also I'm a different writer, and I'm a different person.
True.
Like, I've learned to let go of some things. I've learned what's important to me. I've learned what I need to do in terms of pacing. And I don't know, I have I'm a very different writer than I was when I was at Marvel before, back, because that was over 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
It's like, it's so long ago. It's been a long time, so it's like I've learned a lot about myself and about comics in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
My point of view of things has definitely changed. That's a longer conversation. I have a much more maybe this is part of why Prime is the way he is too, because I have a much more like zen, I guess, a kind of zen feeling about comics. I love comics, and obviously, if you've ever walked in my office, you're just like, this is a person who clearly loves comics. I have learned a lot about myself and my relationships with comics the last couple of years in a positive way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, all of that kind of goes into my take on things, and maybe that's why Prime is a lot more chill as well about things. I actually have a Prime toy right here.
Oh yeah.
I got this Prime toy right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
I hope we get a new one. I hope we get a new one that's Dan's design.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be really cool. Yeah, I would love to have that up here. I feel very lucky right now because I'm writing all these things that I like.
Yes.
There's no weird, there's no struggle, there's no chores. Nothing feels like a chore right now. It's like everything I'm working on right now. The only challenge is always the same thing with me. It's like I'm always doing a little bit too much. I'm on the edge too much, as you know.
Yep.
But everything I'm working on right now across the board, like, is just been, nothing is a chore. Everything has been really, really just fun. Yeah, like Iron Man, Prime, DCKO, G.I. Joe is always a blast, and then all these projects that are unannounced. There's so many. It's one of the things people at some point this year, people are going to be like, I'm going to have that conversation again of like, when do I sleep at some point this year? And you're like, I sleep fine. It's funny because it's like, when you're really enjoying it, it's not hard.
Right. Did you
go ahead?
There was a moment you were talking about at the beginning of the show when you had the 2 weeks off, you closed your laptop, you weren't working.
Yeah.
How many ideas did you have for something?
I mean, I was always in my head. Like, I was always thinking about stuff. Like, I figured out some DC stuff that's like far out. Like, I think. So yeah, I mean, I mostly was working on creator owned stuff. I was thinking creator owned a lot. I was still a little bit in the KO headspace just because we were not totally done, and like Night Fight hadn't gone to print yet, so I was still the last issue of Night Fight hadn't gone to print yet, so I was still thinking about some of those parts. A lot of notebook work and like creator owned stuff was a little bit there.
That's great.
I did figure out. I mean, we talked about this, that like there are acts to All In, right? There are acts to All In, and we're getting through what I see as the first act. Like, we're going through the first act right now. Like, we're at the KO is like the end of the first act is how I see it. And now we're getting into the second act. And I know a lot of what the second act is, and there were parts of the third act that we knew, but we hadn't like totally nailed down. And in those 2 weeks, I was like, oh, we do have it actually. That's like, great. We do. It was like, oh, it's this, da-da-da-da. And it was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. All right. It was one of those moments where I was like, during the break, I just, was thinking about it, and we had all the pieces. All the pieces for the third act were there. It just hadn't been like put in order yet.
Right.
Obviously we pivot. It's like we're not going to nail down a plan so hardcore that we're like, this is the plan, we're never changing it. You know, we're not going to take the better idea because we planned. It's like, no, we'll pivot if a better idea comes along.
Sure.
We always make it so it's like we have these landmarks, but it's not like so planned out that it is nuts. It's like there's no room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
There's always room to breathe. There's always room for, because obviously you get new voices that come into these situations and stuff like that. And they might have some takes that you're like, oh, you're right, we should do that. Like, you know, you're not going to take nobody. I'm thankful that nobody is so stubborn that they're like, we're going to ignore the good idea that's put on the table.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, go back as far as look at like Civil War. I mean, I think this is publicly known, right? Like Civil War wasn't the plan. It was, they were at a summit. Did you know this? That Civil War wasn't the plan. Yeah, they were at a summit, and the summit was like, "What's this?" And they're like, "We have to change everything to do that." Like,
yes,
you know what I mean? They're like, "We're gonna move." They didn't like blow it up, but they're like, "We're moving a bunch of shit around to make it happen," because it was so clearly this thing. So we would never do that. We would never be like, "No, let's not do the good idea."
Yeah, but that save that.
Yeah. So we knew a lot of the second act stuff, and we're like, okay, we knew bits and pieces of the third act. We knew the primary thing in the third act. We knew which characters were in it. We knew all this stuff. We kind of had an idea of the approach to it, and then I was like, oh, this is easy. It's this. Da-da-da-da.
Yep.
You know, and you know, talking to Scott about it, I'm like, oh, it's this. Boop, 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 boop. And Scott was like, yeah, you're right. It is that. Boop, boop, boop. Like we just, it sounds silly to like boil it down to that, but we figured out. So that was probably the biggest thing during the break that I was like, oh yeah, it's this.
Yes.
It's this. And I mean, you'll start seeing, I think you're going to start seeing clues to what I'm talking about pretty soon, like in the next month or two. You'll start seeing little teases and clues. I would definitely say keep reading KO, read KO 4, read KO 5, read the stuff.
I'll be reading, all of it. There's no,
Yeah, you'll see the clues there. And I'm really curious. I was thinking about this morning. Like, there's a really big clue to what we have planned in KO 5. And I'm like, I wonder who's going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Like who's gonna figure out what that clue is and start piecing it together. Like I am dying to know. There's a page in 5 that really hints at something, and I'm like, I don't think anyone's gonna get it. I'm not gonna tell you what that one is, because I want you to read 5 and then try to guess what it is, because there's a clue in 5 that I'm like, no one's gonna, I fully believe no one's gonna put this clue together. I could be wrong, because that's the thing. That's what I love about comics, is that like if you put a mystery out there for comic book readers, you put it on the internet, they will figure it out in a day at most. You know what I mean? It's like when they I always love when it was like they created the Krakoan language and they were like, no one's gonna figure this out, and they had it like 20 minutes later or some shit like that. Like,
yes.
I was like, yes, guess what? Comics readers are very smart, and they recognize patterns very quickly. Like patterns particularly. Mm-hmm. Very quickly, because I think there's such the nature of comics is because of how the rhythm is. It forces your mind to think in patterns in a way, right?
That's
so it's like, well, and the cycle nature of storytelling, all these things. But it was like, yeah, I remember hearing this thing like, they're gonna put out there, it'll probably take people like a month, and it was like that day.
I remember when it was, I was like, oh my god, they dropped the language on us, and then I like checked the subreddit, and it was just like, okay, we've got these letters, which and I know this is a sentence, and I figured out, so we got the whole thing, and I'm like, oh,
once you have the vowels, it's over.
It's over. Yeah,
it's over. Once you have the vowels, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it's like once they had the vowels, it was done. It was like, oh, that's A. Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
We know it now, because like once you get A, you're like, okay, well that's this. It's like you get like one linguistic out there, and there's gonna be like, god. Oh yeah, it's over. Like it's so funny to be like, it's interesting to. This is what I think about that particular thing. That's fascinating. And this isn't a thing about the Krakoan language, but it's a thing about comics in general. Comics readers have jobs,
right?
And some of those jobs
are the things.
Yes, that will crack these codes. You know what I mean? Like you there are probably literally people who are comic readers who are like language experts. You know what I mean? So it's like you have this thing where it's like, yeah, they're comic nerds like you and I, but they have these jobs that also make them experts in other shit.
Right.
And so it's like, if you're putting all this stuff on the table, you're like, yeah, slow down. They don't only read comics and nothing else. So like they've probably read some other books. They might figure some things out. They might know some stuff. You know, it's funny, like, and it's something I love about, I love jokes like that, where it's like these sort of intelligent jokes of like, you had to have read this book, or, you know, it's funny, like all those pieces, but you're talking about comic readers who absorb information and retain it. You know, they remember years and years and years of their favorite character's continuity. They're gonna crack whatever code you put in front of them. So I say this about the end of KO 5.
Yeah.
There's a clue what's coming. I'm not gonna say no one's gonna figure it out. Someone's gonna figure it out. They're gonna be like, oh, it's this. But I'm really curious to see how close they get.
Yeah.
How much they're like, it is this. Um, Same with Iron Man. Like, there's mysteries in Iron Man. I'm curious. People are gonna figure out who Citizen V is. Like, there's all kinds of stuff like that. I think there's clues, there's misdirections, but yeah. Anyway, I mean, right now things have been. I don't know, man. Things are good. It's just busy.
Well, I like to think that, and I'm sure this is just the workaholic in me, but like, I like to think that if things are busy, it means things are good.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I think the idea that you can't complain about having too much work. Like,
yeah. But you need to know when to take a break.
Yeah, I know where my lines are and stuff like that. And it's like, I know how much I can do, and I know where I do my best work and things like that. It's like, I know where my lines are into stress and stuff like that. And because I've had experienced burnout in the past, I understand the burnout didn't really come from too much work. You know what I mean? It wasn't really that. It was like other stuff around it that I needed to fix. And once I fixed that, it really was. I mean, it's funny because I'm not the fastest writer in comics. There are a lot of writers who are way faster than me. I think that, like, Chip being one, Chip talked about on the show. Like, he's always really far ahead. He's really fast to the point where Marvel had to tell him to slow down. He said that when we were on the show on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then there is, like, Jeremy Adams is really fast. He reminds me of me a lot, like, especially in the early days when I was doing double ship Flash. Like, I was one of the few people who could handle that schedule. And Jeremy definitely is a fast writer, and he can handle a lot. But there are a few people out there that are really, really fast. And it's funny because there's some who are really fast, but they don't. It's weird. It's like they don't work. Like, they're not like, I'm going to finish a comic every 2 days. They don't have that. They're
they're not fast for 365 days. They're fast during these, like, chunks.
Yeah, these pockets.
Yeah.
Well, there was this thing that Kirkman said, and I talked about this with Kirkman recently. There was a thing that Kirkman said where he was like, and I think I said this last time too, where it's like, a comic script takes me either 3 weeks or 3 days.
Uh-huh.
One of the ththings I learned as a writer, there's a difference between writing comics and typing comics. That's the thing I learned the last few years.
Oh, sure.
That, like, I can map out. It'll take me like days to figure out what it is. Like, what are the lines out, what are the six. But when it comes time to actually typing, it doesn't take that long. And I'm not the kind of person that, like, I have to figure everything out before I start typing. But, like, I think Tom talked about this, where he's not that way. I mean, he kind of has an idea and then he sits down to write.
He starts from the beginning to end. Like, he does not.
He doesn't jump around.
He doesn't jump around. He doesn't do, like, the whiteboard. He's just like, okay, well, page 1, panel 1, and then until it's over.
And go. Yeah, he goes page by page.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I used to write like that. Like, when I was in high school and college, like, that was my writing style. But it wasn't to the same effect.
No, it's funny. I write in a weird way. I'm very. I mean, because basically what I do is I figure out what the entire comic is, and once I get what it is, then I do sort of do it in order. I kind of, like, get it on paper.
Yeah.
Once I get it all on paper, like, all the ideas, all the thoughts, all the stuff that I know I want in the comic, and kind of the page breaks, 2-page spreads, the splash pages, and big character beats, then I kind of work my way backwards sometimes, because I'll be like, the last page, now that I know what it is, I'm just going to write that now. Just be like, and then I kind of bounce around depending on the scene or what I'm doing, and there are days where it's funny because, like, once I have all the information down on the page, then I do kind of go in order, but it's like all the information's already there. Like, I know what page 1 is, I know what page 6 is, so it's like then I'm going in order, but it takes time. Like, I will sit there and be like, what do I want the ending to be? I want the beginning to be middle, and I always think the hardest page in comics is probably around page 13. I always say this because around page 13 is when you start realizing you're running out of room.
Yeah,
you're like, oh, this scene ran too long, and I'm gonna have to make this scene shorter because I have to go back and do some comic book tricks to, like, make, you know what I mean, to borrow time from a page or like consolidate time on a page or whatever. It's like, it's interesting because it really is like a big. I don't always like comparing to a math problem because I think ultimately, like,
it's not math. It's
not math. It's interesting because you're thinking about character and emotion and all these things, but there is math involved because you usually have 22 pages, so you have to, like, count and be like, okay, is this scene running too long or too short? It's funny, like, the last few years, the team books said this to me. I would never write a 1-page scene. I used to never write 1-page scenes ever. But I would say the last, like, I would definitely say the last like 2 or 3 years, I've written a lot of them, and I love them now. Like they
Yeah.
can work as interludes, they work as a transition thing. They don't have to, and it was a weird like bugaboo I had where I was like, I don't like writing. I was like, they have to be 2 pages max. Like I have to, or the minimum can be 2 page scenes.
Yep.
Enough to have a page turn or enough to have like a 2 page spread. It's like I couldn't do a 1 page scene, and now I use them all the time. Like GI Joe, Superman, Iron Man, plenty of 1 page scenes all the time. And I think they work. Like I've found for me to make it work. I don't know. I always feel like I'm still learning. I'm still learning how to do this job. Like I love it so much. And I think that's one of the reasons why I still really love it the way I do. Is I'm still learning how to do it. I feel like I feel very thankful in a way that I did not. That I said this to somebody else recently, where it was like whatever the comics equivalent of peaked in high school. I feel like I did not have. So I'm like thankful for that. I feel like I'm still learning, still trying different things, learning stuff. Like I didn't show up on day one, peaked, and then have been doing the same magic trick for 10 years. You know?
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm constantly learning and improving and all that. And it makes it that challenge, I think. Because I'm a big believer in like your only competition is yourself. Like I think about that a lot. So it's like the only person I'm trying to outdo is myself, my past work. Like that's it. And I'm always trying to learn and try new things and trying to take something from the past and go, okay, this didn't work or it didn't quite get where I wanted it to. Okay, how do I improve on that next time? I remember, I think I told you this story before. I'll probably end on this as well. Say this thing that Dan DiDio told me one time. I think I might have told this story before, but I was annoyed by something that I had done in comics. I wasn't happy with something. And this is a long time ago. And Dan and I were at this bar together, and we were talking about it. And I was bummed. He could tell I was really bummed. And he was just like, you know what? That's the beauty of comics. Like, it's every month. You get to try again next month. Just try again. Like, that's it. That's one of the beautiful parts about comics is every month is an opportunity.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. It made me feel a lot better about that moment to be like, okay, next month, try again. Like, that's it. You got the next issue. Try again. You know, just keep going. And so I'm a big believer of that. And again, I'm hard on myself. But all that being said, this week, Iron Man #1, please pick it up. Pre-order Superman 36. That's coming up with Dan Mora and I doing Prime. Keep getting G.I. Joe and look for more exciting news. You know, we will probably have some more information about Legion, I think, soonish. So there's a lot going on, a lot of books. You'll see more and more announcements from me in the next few months. And then I have one last thing for Sal.
Yeah.
Did your Terminator trade come out? Is that a thing?
It did come out. It's actually on stands right now.
Yay, pick it up.
Pick it up. Pick up Terminator Out of Time, Volume 1. Pick up the whole story is all connected, all 10 pages.
Yeah, go pick up. Go get Sal's work. Go pick up Sal's comics, man.
Yeah, pick up my comic too. Yeah, right. The first published work of mine, which that's something else.
No, it's a start. I mean, it's just gotta get more Sal comics out in the world.
That's right. That's what you good fine people have been saying. You're just like, all right, what's next? It's very cute. It's just what's next, and I'm like,
what's next?
Great question. Yeah. So check it out, folks. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Yeah, always.